Welcome to the Move with Motus Podcast. My name is Dr. Christopher Ellis, and joining me is personal trainer John Williams. We are the owners of Motus Personal Training and Physiotherapy. Together, we will discuss any topic you can think of when it comes to training and rehab. From the carnivore diet to hip impingement, you can be sure that all your questions will be answered. Enjoy this week's episode.
So this will end up feeding into our conversation later, but I wrote a post today on Facebook. I put it on the Motus Facebook too. I said, because I got this text from this woman who was cleared by her doctor to go start training because she was having like back pain. I forget if she had surgery or not, but some sort of herniation or something like that in the lower back. And she was going to come in for an eval one day. And she doesn't come in, no call, no show. And I text her. I'm like, hey, where are you? She's like, hey, I didn't come in for the eval because my lower back was really hurting me. I'm like, that's why you're coming in for the eval.
Yeah.
Is to fix this. Like, I'm not going to have you do burpees today.
Yep.
But we have to figure out what's going on here. Then I texted her again today, just sort of following up, seeing if she wants to come in. And I'm like, hey, how's the back doing? She's like, oh, it's so far so good. She's like, I'm getting injections. I'm like, okay. And so I just had to, because I'm getting so sick of hearing it. And this is going to feed into our conversation of like a niche later on. But I said, hey, friends and family, I just wanted to say something. If you have lower back pain, no amount of cortisone or chiropractic work is going to fix it. You can't ice, rest, or heat the pain away. Your physician won't know what to do either. Go see a certified trainer or physical therapist. They'll be able to find the source of the back pain and solve it from there.
Strong.
And it's doing really well. Everybody seems to enjoy it. You know, my friends and family are probably happy that I've said that. Posted on the Motus page as well. Not sure how it's doing there, but it's one of those things I see so often, and I'm so good at fixing, and we've had conversations about, and it's such a deeper problem than icing and heating and cortisone that, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I do think some of those things have their place, but I think that should be the last thing you do, not the first thing you do, right?
Yes.
Movement is medicine, period, right? That's what you should do, is learn how to move in a non-painful way, shut off the pain signals that are coming from the brain, because that is a whole other topic of pain science, right?
Yeah.
Basically, your body's like perceiving a threat, and you're like, oh, don't move. So you just got to learn how to move pain-free, get some perfusion of your body. You know, that's the stuff that really is going to help. Mm-hmm. I mean, there are instances where I've had someone in severe pain where they just can't even move at all. Okay, then we can talk about that. But
that's
the most,
so few
I would say,
of the people.
90+%, you got to move.
Yeah, if you can walk to the grocery store and like walk around, shop, and do all that sort of stuff and go home, don't go lay down afterwards. Like, go see somebody and keep moving well, which is, I suppose, the most important part. But one of my niches I've found that I'm particularly good at solving, because I dealt with it so much as a trainer, is helping people with lower back pain, because there's very common sources of it. Obviously, it gets more complex, which is when you have to refer out to somebody who's a little more skilled at that. But as a general principle, as a trainer, you need to find what your niche is, right? Mine's helping people with lower back pain. Mine's helping people with running mechanics. But, you might not be that. You might be really good at something else. You might be really good at solving knee pain. You might be really good at like youth female athletes or whatever the case might be. You need to think back of, okay, what were my best experiences training? Where could I provide the most benefit? And where did I have the most fun? That's probably your niche. That's what you should attack. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, this is where I've screwed up the most as a trainer, is I thought in the beginning I could just solve any problem. I'm good at solving everything. I can train anybody. And I marketed myself with that philosophy. Like, one of my first ad videos was, hey, if you have pain, or if you're 70 years old with a shoulder replacement, or if you're like an 18-year-old youth athlete, come train with me. And that was all in one ad. Who am I speaking to? Nobody.
Everybody, but no one's listening.
Exactly. When you try to appeal to everybody, you actually appeal to nobody, because nobody cares.
Yeah.
Because you're like, how do I know you're good at all of this? That can't be possible.
Right. It's like if my AC goes out, I don't want the company that does everything. I want an AC company.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the same thing, one of my clients is like in construction. Well, he does very specific. He does painting and restoration. Now, he could do some other construction components, like he could build you an outdoor kitchen if you wanted to, but his niche is painting and restoration. That's what they're particularly good at.
Yeah.
If we look at other really successful companies, right, Nike, for example, well, they supply a lot of things for a lot of people. That's not how they started. They started out of a van selling track shoes to track athletes because the guy, Bill Bowerman, was a track coach at Ohio State, and then his co-founder, Phil Knight, was a track athlete, right? So they made the Nike Cortez. They sold them out of a van. Now they're, however big they are. Apple made the first personal computer. Now they make watches that give you notifications and emojis and stuff. If we look at Amazon started selling books online. We have to start somewhere. As much as we want to help everybody, we have to start somewhere. Now, did you ever have that like sort of existential crisis in the beginning where you're like, I want to help everybody, but somehow this isn't working?
100%. Yep. Yeah, I mean, definitely out of PT school, I wanted to treat orthopedics, neurology, pediatrics, people with TMJ, because physical therapists actually can do that.
Mm-hmm.
And then you quickly learn, okay, I'm not great at this, or I don't like doing this, or I find this boring, or this is super exciting. I think that's what, that's how I kind of went into orthopedics. Like that, I just enjoy that. If you enjoy it, you're going to tend to seek out more knowledge and like do all your continuing education, and, you're going to kind of sharpen your sword for the stuff you like.
Yeah.
So that's how I got into where I am now. I've got even more niche specific now.
Talk about it.
Okay. All right. So,
give me like the process of like, okay, the initial frustrations of I thought I could treat everybody, and then to, okay, I realized I really like this. Okay, now I'm doing a lot of this.
Okay, so, let's see, how should I start this? So I used to do home health physical therapy, which kind of sounds cool. It's like really good money, a flexible schedule, right? You're going to people's homes, you're helping someone like learn how to walk again or something like that. But what I found is that either I'm not good at it or that maybe it's just you're dealing with a lot of people with sort of end stage disease processes, like a Parkinson's, for example. And the best you're going to do is slow down a disease process, maybe. Again, maybe I just suck at it. But it never felt like progress to me. And I like results. I like progress.
Mm-hmm.
I like people to get better, like get out of pain and get back to whatever it is they'd love to do. That to me is like, so there's a selfishness to it, I guess.
Of course.
So yeah, that's what I want for people. Because that, like when they walk out of the office and they're feeling great, I'm like, yes, I did the right thing today.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's probably philosophically, that's probably where it all stems from.
Yeah. And then when did you start realizing, hey, this is what I really like to do. I'm pretty good at solving this problem. I've seen myself solve in the past. And also that experience was really enjoyable for me.
So I think I got into orthopedics because it's usually not very clear. So there's like detective work you have to do,
Mm-hmm.
right? That to me is fun. Like my blog post is all about this, all these relationships, why does your glute weakness tie into your back pain? I'm really interested in those kind of relationships. So if you're doing like, home health, it's just very straight up. It's like Parkinson's, make them better. Whereas when people are coming in for just like musculoskeletal pain, usually the script we get is like back pain, knee pain, ankle pain, right? It's very like, we don't know what's going on, just fix them.
Right.
So that's fun for me because I have to do like a thorough evaluation, look at everything, take a history. So it's detective work. And I think that's the fun part. It's like wrapping your head around and solving these issues. That's probably why I got into orthopedics.
Anything more specific than that in the orthopedic realm that you're like, oh, like this joint is my favorite.
Yeah.
This specific problem with this specific joint is becoming a real...
Yeah, definitely. Like I remember I started, and I think my first favorite joint was the neck. Well, cervical spine, really. I don't know. Then I kind of migrated away from that, got into shoulders, and now it's like I really feel like I do the best with hips. I think hips are fun to work with. There's a lot of things that can go wrong with the hip. It's the shoulder can be like a real touchy joint, like really painful. So it's really kind of easy to screw someone's shoulder up if you do the wrong thing. The hip, I don't know. It's our prime engine. That's how I see it. So it can take a lot, but it can also suffer a lot. And, I've really...
And you can solve a lot of problems when you solve a lot of hip problems.
Yeah.
You can solve a lot of shoulder problems when you solve a lot of hip problems. You can solve a lot of ankle problems as well. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. And I like just the whole lower extremity, the way the ankle plays into the knee and into the hip and vice versa. So then I got into hip impingement because it's such a problem. I think a lot of therapists don't really know what to do with it. I definitely, early in my career, would see it. And we didn't even learn about it in school, to be honest. I was like, I don't know what to do with this. So I just dug into the research, a lot of trial and error, and I feel like I've kind of, I don't want to say mastered hip impingement, but I think I have a good understanding of what to do with somebody with hip pain, or hip impingement. So, and then the other thing too is I played hockey my whole life. I still play hockey, and hockey players are very susceptible to getting hip impingement. So that's my niche now. Hockey players with hip impingement. It's like that specific.
And are you finding that you're able to attract a lot of those sorts of people?
I'm getting a lot of hips in general. And yeah, I definitely have a bunch of hockey players on my schedule, but if you put it out there that they're like a hip guy, you just get hip people. So I'm getting a lot of that right now.
Yeah, and that was one of the things that I got a lot of now. Granted, it's like 98% of the population has lower back pain, especially the older you get. It just seems to be more and more prevalent. But that's one of the things that even if you train with me 1 day a week, you'll probably solve that problem. I probably can at least figure out where it's coming from. And if I can't, I know who to go to find that. But as long as I know where it's coming from, I can figure that out in a 1 day a week's worth of training. But some of the other things I thought I was really good at, like I thought I was really good at like solving shoulder pain. I thought I was really good at solving knee pain. The more and more I tried to solve these problems, the more and more I failed at it. Where I was like, oh, man, I shouldn't be trying to solve everybody's problems. I should trying to be solve the problems that I can solve.
Yeah, I mean, but you do kind of, I think, have to start as a bit of a generalist.
I do think so as well.
Yeah, I mean,
that was going to be my next point.
Yeah, you can't just jump to being a specialist. It's a good place to end up, but you kind of have to try your hand at everything, and also see what you like to work with too. If you like to work with it, you're going to naturally just acquire more information on it.
Yep, and that's the thing too. It's when you look back at your experiences, hopefully you have enough of them to at least make sort of a conclusion. But the older and older you get, the more and more experience you have, you need to start figuring out what's the problems that I can solve for what subset of people. The more and more you play to everybody's hand, the more and more you're just not going to get business as a result. Yeah. I got a business advisor right around when I started my company, so probably over a year ago now. And one of the things he said to me, which hit me hard but did not stick with me as well as it should have, and I didn't translate it as well as I should have at the time, was the riches are in the niches. Mm-hmm. So again, we talked about Nike, we talked about Apple, we talked about Amazon. You really need to carve out your specific subset of people. If you go on Instagram and you search like online trainer and you see one person's targeting like a very specific population, like moms with knee pain, well, and then you ask them what their sales are like, I guarantee you it's going to be better than the other guy who's just like, yeah, I'm an online trainer. Anybody who wants to come see me can come see me. They've probably carved out a better niche. You can probably look at their conversion rates, probably higher. You can look at their engagement rate on their posts, it's probably higher because it's a very specific subset of people who have a very specific problem. It's a very big pain point for them. So they want that problem solved by that specific person. So until you can do that, you can't just help everybody. But like you said, you kind of have to start helping everybody, figure out what you're good at, and then later on, once you have the ability, you can be the Amazon of the training space.
And I think it definitely helps if you kind of speak the lingo. Like, there's a lot of physical therapists that are moving into the CrossFit sort of sector that are CrossFitters themselves.
Right. I'm
not a CrossFitter, so I'm not going to go into a CrossFit gym and try to set up shop there because I don't speak their language. I don't do all their lifts. I don't wear all of the crazy shoes they wear and all that. So
they do love their shoes.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's a population of individuals that
obsessed.
Loves shoes.
Yeah, but I think they're on the right path, though.
They're doing okay.
They do a lot of zero drop shoes.
A lot of zero drop, but really stiff. And I think they're completely wrong there. I think they should go zero drop, super mobile.
Yeah,
I think Vivo Barefoot is like the perfect shoe for a CrossFitter.
Yeah. So, yeah, but my point being, though, if you play a sport or you have an activity that you love and you can solve a problem within that world, that's where the gold is,
Yeah.
It should be like, you should think of it as, who can I knock it out of the park with? That it should be like a no-brainer. That's who you should work with.
Yep, exactly. And who am I going to enjoy working with?
Yeah.
Like, who can I get real results for and also do well with? And then we have to figure out, well, how do you market yourself as a guy who has a specific niche? Once you found it, okay, it's going to be moms with knee pain. Well, how do I market myself? Where do I go? Well, the internet is an amazing place. There's so many places to build leverage, so many places to build a community. so many places to build an audience. You have YouTube, you have Facebook, you have Instagram, you have Twitch. Even people are using that for fitness content creation. You have TikTok, you have Twitter. Soon enough, you're going to have Physio, which is the app that I'm creating.
Very excited.
So it's going to be awesome. But there's so many places to go and build leverage that you need to go and figure out, well, which of these, use all of them first. Figure out which of those pieces of content, now you have to find your content niche, which of these pieces of content am I really good at creating, and then start creating that, and then start speaking to your audience. Label yourself as, I solve this problem, I'm going to put out a whole bunch of content specifically related to this exact problem, and then I'm going to attack it. And I'm going to talk to people. I'm going to talk to my users, I'm going to talk to my community, and you're going to find a lot of success in that methodology.
Yeah. Make it about them, not about you, right? It shouldn't be like, I have all these accolades, I have a doctorate. That's not what you want to go for. You want to talk to that person and their problem. They don't care about all your accolades.
No, and they don't care about other people's problems. They don't care about other people's problems that you want to solve.
Yeah.
They care about their specific problem. I'll give you a really good example, right? I'm building this app, Physio, and I'm jumping on all these sales calls, and I've had to realize my niche when I'm trying to find my early adopters. The people who have the specific pain point that you can solve today are going to be so excited to work with you. They're going to see it as an opportunity to work with you. Like, obviously, it's an opportunity for you to work with them because they're going to be paying customers. They're going to be driving more users to your systems. Hopefully, there'll be word of mouth referrals for your training or your therapy or whatever the case might be. But they're going to literally think of working with you as an opportunity. And when you see that little light bulb go off in their head, you know you found the person.
Yep.
And you need to figure out what their profile is and re-identify that in as many other people as you can.
Yeah, once you find that like ideal person, like kind of snapshot them in your brain and make them your avatar. And that's who you should be running all your content to, as if you're speaking directly to that person.
Yes.
That helps.
And then the next sales call you go on, think about the things that made them light up and think about the things that they were like, I don't really care much about that. And just focus on the things that got them excited.
Yeah. I also find that if you can really dig down into what they're looking for, that really helps too, like on an emotional level. So it's not just, I got knee pain. Okay, well, why do you have knee pain? Or why is that important to you? Well,
Right.
I want to get back to running. Well, why is that important to you? Well, because I'm gaining weight and I'm afraid my wife will leave me. Once you get to
You got dark.
well, that's what I do is that you have to, I mean, that's like, motivational interviewing. That's where you have to get people to understand what they're trying to do. And you have to understand what they're trying to do. And if you can solve that problem, that's huge.
Are we crossing lines by me asking if you've actually heard that exact line of reasoning?
No, we're not crossing lines. I've heard things like that. Mm-hmm. That's just a for example. And I'm not talking about myself either.
Well, that is definitely one of the things you have to deal with as a trainer and a therapist is people's problems. And we should probably have a sociology component attached to our degrees because there's such a big component. I think it's probably more in physical therapy. Definitely not enough in training.
Yeah. Well, I think training tends to be a little more straightforward. Like, I just want to get fit, right? Whereas I get people...
they come in, they complain about their wife, or they complain about their kids, and they complain about their mental health, and you're like, okay, 2 more sets?
You don't have to dig deep with most people. It's right there underneath the surface. So.
Yeah. No,
yeah.
You don't.
Yep.
You really don't. And they want to talk about it.
Yep.
It's scary sometimes.
Sometimes I think that's my best tool as a therapist is just listening to people. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, rapport is huge when it comes to, treating, any kind of injury.
And now you have a kind of a unique business model. Obviously, it's something that's growing. It should be growing because I think it's just more effective. Cash-based physical therapy. Mm-hmm. How did you land upon that as something that fit specifically to you? Why was that founder product market fit for Chris Ellis?
Well, I think it started, like I've always kind of hated insurance in general. It's just, I've always seen it as a giant scam.
Because you've worked for clinics in the past.
Yes. Yeah. For many years. So actually when I was a student, I was, we had to do what's called clinical rotations. And there's a CI, a clinical instructor, who's a physical therapist that's basically overseeing you. And he would always talk about, cash-based physical therapy is the way of the future. So that kind of like started the thought. And then, graduating school, getting into these insurance-based clinics, I always had that in the back of my mind. Yeah, one day I want my own. I always knew I wanted my own clinic, but then I was like, maybe the cash is the way to go. And then I got to a point where I was seeing like 27 people a day, in one day, 27 patients. And what that really means is you're seeing 2 to 3 people at the same time.
Yeah.
And you have to document in all those people. That takes such a huge toll on you. First of all, it's hard to give quality care if you're treating 2 people at once. It's really hard. Some people can do it, but it's not that easy. And then all it takes is something like one patient comes in, they're just going to start doing their normal exercises, and then the next one comes in, oh, I had a fall yesterday. Oh, great. I had to do a whole evaluation while I'm treating the other person. It's just insane. It doesn't even make sense.
Yeah.
So that's one of the models. Another model is, maybe you do the evaluation, then you get a rehab aide to come follow up and do sort of cookie cutter exercises. And most people don't really get that much better with that, right? And then you just see the same people come in every year for the same thing because nothing's ever really changed. So the whole thing is totally dissatisfying. No one gets better. It's bad for the patient. It's bad for the therapist. It's good for the company. That's who makes the money. So after years of doing that, I was like, that's it. I'm just going to do my own cash thing. So I started looking into it, started doing it on the side. I found a business coach through PT Biz, Danny Mattei. He's awesome. If you're thinking about going the cash route, check out his stuff, Danny Mattei, Matta. And then that really gave me a lot of guidance on how to do it because there's a right way and a wrong way to do it. And I've been doing it for a couple of years now, and I've already doubled in profits. And I work about a quarter as much.
Yeah.
So, and because of that, one of the greatest things is that, I'll see on any given day 5 or 6 patients versus 27. So I have much more energy and much more sort of bandwidth to work with somebody. I think I give way better service. And it's all one-on-one, obviously. So that was sort of the impetus behind it. But you have a question?
No, I was going to ask, do you feel like that's your, training 3 people at a time versus 1 person at a time? You feel like you're better in that one-on-one setting as well?
100%. Yeah. Just even I do a lot of hands-on work. How do you do hands-on work with 2 people at the same time?
Yeah.
I got 1 set of hands. There's ways to do it. It's okay, you go ride the bike for 10 minutes.
I'm going to massage this, and then I'm going to do the thing on this.
Yeah, then it just feels like you're prescribing exercise to somebody just to buy time with someone else. And, that's not fair to people.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, that's the other thing, too. Okay, we found the problem that we can solve for people. What environment can we solve it in? Is it going to be in a group setting? Is it going to be in a personal one-on-one setting? Is it going to be small group, big group? Is it going to be all online, right? We really do have to consider online training as a very viable way to build a business. Did you cut yourself?
Mosquito bite, scab ripped off. Nasty. All right, anyways.
That's pretty gross. Anyway, just don't watch this video. We're gonna have to blur that out or something.
All right.
But you have to figure out the setting that you can actually solve that problem and what settings do you operate. If you're a really good people person, extrovert, stuff like that, you might be really good in a group setting. If you don't like going outside, maybe you're good in the online setting. But we do have to consider online training and all of the possible options that we can do, right? We can do live streams now. We can talk to a whole bunch of people at the same time from our living room. We can do virtual training that is very effective. We can do, I do Zoom calls. It's really, really good. I get good results with my people. So definitely consider all of the available options in the mediums you can train through, figure out who you can help and the problem that you want to solve and the setting that you can solve it in. And if you do that, you're probably going to have a lot more success as a business. Yeah,
I think the online stuff's exciting in the sense that you can just have so much more impact. Mm-hmm. Especially for you. As a physical therapist, we're a little limited because we have state licenses, so I can only talk to people in Florida. Well, I can only treat people in Florida.
Yeah. But you can monetize anywhere. You can sell programs.
Yeah, I could do that. I could still give advice. I could still, have some level of impact. I just can't do physical therapy online in California, for example.
Yeah.
So, that's the only limitation. Sometimes I think that personal trainers have way more leniency than a physical therapist.
Hey, a good ES degree, a good certification, and a massage therapy license. Got a lot of freedom there. Yeah. And you got a lot of skill.
Yep, it's true. Shh. Don't let the secret out.
Anything else on the topic of finding your niche?
No, but on the cash thing I want to talk about for a second is I just think that's the way of future for physical therapy. Okay.
You're still dribbling a little bit.
I think we're going to, more and more students are hitting me up saying, hey, how do I start my own cash business? This mastermind group I'm part of, hundreds of members, they're popping up everywhere.
Yeah.
And people are, I think, catching on that this is a thing. And a lot of people are that I see went to traditional physical therapy and kind of like, no, that didn't work for me. They were seeing two people at the same time. As some high school kid was telling me to do hamstring stretches and straight leg raises. It's bad PT. So this is the way of the future. And by the way, you're going to save time and money this way too, because here's the other thing is like if you go to traditional PT, you're going to be paying a copay, like $40. I've seen copays like 77 every visit, maybe 3 times a week for 4 weeks, times 2 months. How many visits is that? 24 visits, right? Whereas I'll see somebody usually like 6 times or so, once a week.
Yep.
And that what people don't understand is that they have a deductible. So what will happen too at the end of a normal case of physical therapy, they get hit with like a $3,000 bill because they haven't met their deductible yet. And on top of that, they have all the copays and all the time. And so it just ends up being more time efficient, and you save money. Don't go on the cash route, and you get better care. Mm-hmm. It should be a no-brainer.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah.
So find your niche, people. Find that little branch that you need to hang on.
Absolutely.
And you'll do fine.
Yeah, there's a physical therapist, Shantae Cofield. She says, if you want to be the thumb guy, be the thumb guy. You're going to do well.
Fuck yeah. Why not? Be the thumb guy.
Be as specific as you want. You're not going to scare people away.
No, for sure not. But that's all we got?
That's all we got, John. All right. Until next time.
Till next time.
Do you have unexplained pain? Or do you wonder just how healthy you are? When was the last time you had your blood tested? Blood chemistry analysis is a great way to stay ahead of any health conditions. And now you can have control of your health with Let's Get Checked. Let's Get Checked is an incredible company that sends blood tests to your home. You can choose from over 30 different tests, whether that's liver function, testosterone, micronutrient, cholesterol, or C-reactive protein, which is a marker for inflammation. It's sent to you with free shipping, and you get results in 2 to 5 days, no physician referral needed. Use the code DPT20 for 20% off. Go to letsgetchecked.com and use the code DPT20. Thanks for listening to our podcast. If you have any questions you want answered, find us on Instagram at Motus Naples or send us an email. You can fill out a contact form on our website, which is motusnaples.com. Make sure to check out our blog and our shop as well, where there are downloadable programs that we'll continue to update. This is the Move with Motus podcast. We'll see you next week.